Hey, this is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com. It is Tuesday. It's February the 2nd. This will be our chart lesson for the day. Before I get started, let me say we're still having website problems. The site is still not back up. Um, we hope to have it back up tonight. This is a server issue with my host, and for us to be down this long, you know, the fact that I'm upset is an understatement. But not much we can do about it until I get it back up and running. At this point, I may end up having to move to a new um, host because this is ridiculous that the site would be down for this long. And it's just been a lot of extra work and headache for me. So anyway, we were we'll hope to have it up before tomorrow morning, sometime during the evening this evening. I'm hoping, but I'm not getting a lot of. It's very difficult to get a hold of anybody in their tech support, and then when I do, they tell me they're going to do something, and it just hasn't happened. So I'm not real happy to say the least, but there's nothing I can do about it without moving it, and that's going to take longer. So um, I'm hoping that in the meantime we can get it up and running. Then I'm going to consider maybe moving to a new host because it's just been ridiculous. I've had to go through this. Um, we've been with this host for a long time. We've had some minor outages that lasted, a few minutes to maybe an hour, just a couple of times over the last 7 or 8 years. So this is rather unusual, but the problem that we're having is kind of unusual as well. So I'm not going to go into it, but suffice it to say, the website is still down, and there's just not much I can do about it at the moment. So we're working on it. Is all I can tell you, and I hope that it'll be up by tomorrow morning. But anyway, I'm going to move on to the chart lesson here because I'd like to get back on the phone one more time with them this evening and see if I can get through. Every time it takes me about 30 minutes to get through. And so I spent the last 2 days sitting on the phone on hold for the most part. But I'm going to make one more attempt tonight to touch base with them. But anyway, so I'm going to quit dilly-dallying around. I'm going to get to the chart lesson. Real strong downtrend again today. Um, it was all downhill pretty much from the open of the from the open yesterday, uh, from the open this morning. We did kind of go sideways here shortly, but in the end, we were just really bouncing off the low of a channel back up to the high, and that's pretty obvious. It wasn't real easy to see that early on. There's a lot of different ways you could have seen this early on. I looked at this as a spike in channel, and I believe that's correct. But in the end, I think there's a bigger channel working at more of a 45-degree angle. This one's a little steep. This one looks more natural. And there's lots of small uh, trading trend channels within that and the trading range here that basically work from one side to the other. So uh, early on it looked like a trading range. In the end it looks like a trend to the other side to me. But we did go flat here, and you could just about trade this like a trading range if you liked. Notice the two-tiered channel here working now. We have the break and a new low, and then this is a correction, and then another move down. And this one was just pretty much straight down. And then we had a little bit larger short-term trend channel that worked the rest of the way down, and then we bounced, and guess where we turned down again? Right back up to the other side. So everything's pretty straightforward. Okay, sorry, I had a slight quick interruption there. I wanted to answer because I was hoping maybe it'd be something with the website. But anyway, let's back out here, talk about the trades, and let me wrap this up for today and get back to work on our website once again. But early on, I was looking at this. This was actually before I came in. This was right. This was what we were looking at. We already had this down. You got moved down a break and a new low, but really I was looking at this these first two swings right here like a spike in channel. So when we pulled back up and touched right there, that was a perfect setup there. Notice you got a little trend line working up, you get a break, a couple of legs to a new high, and then you get this bearish reversal type bar right off the trend line. That's a perfect setup. And if you caught that one setup, I mean, you can ride this all the way down to you get the break and then you lower to the break or whatever. And if you just caught that one trade and caught a runner off of it, you got a pretty good day going. So notice then we're moving down. There's a second entry short right here. I was a little bit leery of that one. I probably should circle it anyway. I was a little bit leery of it just because I don't have it on here, but there's a little short-term trend line working up there, and that's the first break of it. So I was hoping we get a chance to come back. Looking back on it, um, you could treat this like a breakout pullback short and a second entry, and that's a really bearish bar. So looking back on it, it should at least be green. And to be honest with you, after the fact, I'm almost ready to make it red. But that's the problem, is you can't look at it after the fact. You got to go with what's there. So I'm going to leave that one green, but it's a pretty good setup. But you still got another setup. It's not quite as good as that one, because if you caught this one, you could have gotten a little more out of it. But notice we make a new low here, and you get a second entry short here with a fairly bearish bar. So I like going short there. Another quick, easy move. And you come back. I didn't quite like, another reason I didn't quite like both of these is that we didn't get back to the trend line. They're off the EMA, so they're still pretty good setups, especially the fact that we haven't tested this low yet. There's a good chance we're going to. But notice you make a new low here, and then another first entry, second entry. It's really tempting to go short on this little small bar right here, and it's real low risk. It's a lower high. That's like a double top, so you can count that as a new low. It's a breakout pullback short. There's several reasons to like that one, but I think you were better off because it wasn't quite to the trend line or the EMA, but when it ticked higher and made a double top right there and turned back down and went out the other side, I like jumping on then. But if you wanted to be a little bit aggressive, there's nothing wrong with maybe entering this one. I'll go ahead and mark it. It's going to be green for sure. But I think you're better off to wait and see if you get that trap, which you did, and then you got an easy move. And guess what? You know, if you caught this one, you got runners again, and you ride them all the way down. So there's been a lot of really good trades that catch runners lately, and that's one thing that's, I hear a lot about is people can't seem to catch a runner. But they're there. You can't pick and choose. You got to take them all. And that's the bottom line. There's a second entry short right here, and somebody sent me an email on this today. And when I first looked at it on his chart, I liked it. It looked better than it does on my chart. But his trend line, he had it drawn wrong, and I could only see this little small portion, and he had a trend line working right off of that. And I told him I thought I'd probably take that one, even though it was a little bit aggressive. But looking at it on my chart and looking at it the way I see it, I would not take that trade. It's too close to the low of the day, and that is the low of the absolute low of the day. So you're going short right into that. There is somewhat of a trap there. It's a double top with a lower high, and that's a fairly bearish bar, but you got to go low right in the. Notice it didn't go far before it bounced. So I think you're better off to skip that one. But then you get this turned down right off the trend line. This is a double bottom here, and you basically, even though you make a little bit lower here, you could treat this like a two-legged pull back to the trend line, and that's definitely right off the trend line, a really bearish bar. It didn't quite close on this low, but it's close enough. I like that one going short there, and guess what? It did only get just enough to get your scalp out of it, and then it bounced. Looking back on it, notice we came up short here. That generally means you're going to push past it that much on the other side or get a break there. And so looking back at that, it's a little bit questionable. It's close to being green, but I still liked it at the time. This has been very bearish. And so, you're looking for a possible retest. And when it's this bearish, you're going to probably get another retest. I didn't show you this either. Even though this is into the previous day, that's all one move down. So you want to measure it. And so you were kind of looking for a push down here. Notice we end up getting that, but it's almost at the close before we get it. So that was another reason to kind of keep you thinking short here, especially off the trend line. This is the key entry point, this trend line. So you're looking for a lot of trades off of that, and you hadn't had a lot. So that's your first chance to uh, get a trade off that in a while. So that was another reason I liked it. But looking back at it after the fact, probably would have been better to wait because you do have a little trend line working up right here. That's the first break. Notice we moved to a new high. We get a second leg up. Um, there's a second entry short right there, counting. Well, it's not really a second entry short. There's a measured move up, so on a bigger picture, it's a second entry short. I don't want to confuse people, so I really don't want to talk about that. But you can see the two legs up. That's a perfect measured move, basically. But this is a little bit of a trap. You get those matching highs and it breaks higher. That's a little bit of a trap and it turns down. Plus you got your break, a couple of legs up to a new high. If you saw the midline, which it's doubtful most people would have seen that by that point. If you'd have drawn your line off these couple of swings, you might have. But you really didn't need that because you're playing this bigger channel and you got a break here and you're looking for a retest of the low anyway. So when you get that little push higher, I like that. When it broke lower right there. Again, you could have caught a runner on this and ridden it all the way down. Now you make your new low. So now you got a break in a new low. But notice that little double bottom and you get that little failed break and that reversal bar. You're a little bit away from the EMA. If you want to be real aggressive, you might trade that just looking for it to snap back. It ends up going all the way back to and testing this kind of resistance area across here again. And then it pulls back and it tests the double bottom again and bounces. So it looks like we're going to get a reversal here. So that's not a great signal bar, but it's still a good enough reason to consider that long because of that support right there and this failed break lower and then it holding. And notice this is a new low, so there's a second entry short there. It's tempting to go short right there, but there's not a good enough setup, at least not on my chart. And when it doesn't go back down and make a new low and it bounces right at that support area again, I like that one to try to ride it back up. Again, it's tempting to go short here, but now you got a trend line working up and it's fitting on both sides. So I don't think you really want to go short there. When you got that little push, there's actually a little push up and then a turn down. If you saw that and you had it and it looked like that on your chart, I'm willing to give you an aggressive short on that, but I didn't mark it. There's some reasons to consider it, especially if you're drawing this line. You might have just drawn this line off of those three swings right there. And when you come back to it, and it holds there, that's another reason to think of it. But I'm more worried about this channel working up, and it looks like we've got a possible reversal in place. We've moved back, but we don't really get a setup here. We get a break. And notice this low right here, and then we tested it twice more, and you get that reversal bar. And now you've got a break of this channel moving up here. And so you're going to get a retest of that. Plus you're bouncing off the support area again. So I like going long there. Nice setup. It does pull back and give you another chance to enter here. But then it's too close right here in my opinion. There's some reasons to consider it because there's a good chance you're probably going to push through here to get a new high, even if it's only a tick or so. And then that gives you room. So again, you might take that one if you want to be aggressive, but I just think you're better off. There's too many much better trades today to be risking that one. So just sit tight, and then you get a nice second entry long here on a two-legged pullback. But again, now you've had your break in a new high, so it's a little bit risky. If you saw the bigger channel, I'm okay with you going long then on an aggressive trade. And that's not super aggressive, but it's enough reason to consider, we may get a reversal after this because we've had the break here and a new high. But if you did see the bigger two-tier channel, we weren't quite back to the high yet. So it depends on how you saw that, but I still think that one's a little bit aggressive. But now you've got a break, a couple legs up, and you got this. And notice that double top right across there. I don't have the line drawn there. Let me draw it just so it's easier to see it. there's a double top right across there. And notice that little break, failed break higher, and then the turn down, a little small bar. It's real low risk entry, way away from the EMA. So you figure you're going to at least come back there, or maybe test this breakout area again, even if we're going to get a break of the two-tier channel. But look at that thing go. And if you catch a runner here, you ride it all the way down the rest of the day. Pretty simple. I mean, even if you just rode it from here to down here where you get the new low or the break. I mean, even if you just rode it to right there where you get the first break above a close outside, well, that's uh, 10 points right there. So you only got to catch one or two of these. And notice you get a break, a new low, then you get two legs back up. This one's real tempting here because you don't know that you don't have a trend line here. I talked to another trader about this one on the email, and he actually went short right here, I believe. Can't remember where I think this was the pattern, and he went short right here, and his bar here was small enough that it worked, but it was so risky, and then it runs up. The better trade was to wait till here, but even then, I think it's risky because there could be, another trend channel working up right there, and you can make that. It doesn't fit real nicely, but it fits. And on his chart, this trade right here looked really nice, but on mine, again, I just think it's too risky. If you'd have closed on your very low there, yep, or if you'd have went on through, yep. But the fact that it's two legs up and you pushed on through the EMA, I think you got to consider that, hey, we may go up here and get a break. And so wait on something better. And you actually get a push higher here that turns and goes right out the other side. I like it then because it's probably trapped people, and the fact that it breaks out the top side, then turns, goes all the way out the other. It's only good for a scalp, and then it bounces again. But notice this, you get a new low here, pull back first entry, pull back second entry. It's a big bearish bar. Just go short below that one, and your hope is that maybe you get another measured leg like this right here. And you can see where that puts us to. Right down here, we're exactly where we went to. We got a perfect measured move down on that. And I've mentioned this a few times before. I don't know if I've talked about it lately. You don't see this a lot, but anytime you get one leg that's real quick and easy like that, the next one will be real choppy. And if you get one that's down that's real choppy, sometimes the next one will be real fast and furious like that. Don't ask me why. It just seems to work that way. It's like they have to fight that much harder to get it back down there. But you can see we basically made a perfect measured move down there. But anyway, that would lead you to think we're probably going to make a measured loop down and maybe down to here. But that's a second entry short, so I like that one. Again, you catch runners and you can just ride that at least till you get a break of the trend line, which would be right here. I doubt I would have let it pull back that far if I've got a runner running right here. So, but notice what happens here is that you're moving down and you get a second entry short right here. It's so close to that low that again, I don't really like it. And again, that's the absolute low of the day right there. And you got a double bottom, so you're going short right into it. But notice that you got a triple test of that right off the EMA, and we aren't down to here yet. So there's a good chance we're still going lower here. And notice what happens. We get just enough for a scalp. It bounces, turns back down. There's no setup there. It's a first entry. There's not a good signal bar. And there really never was another good entry the rest of the day. There's a second entry short here, but look at that bar. It's right into the 2 o'clock hour. This is not a very good signal bar. If you wait on this one, then you're talking about how far it is for your stop right there. It's 3.5 points. So that's a huge stop if you're wrong. And so I just don't think that's a very good setup. So that was pretty much it for the day. Didn't mark anything after that. So really, another really good trading day, and really you only had to catch one or two trades here to have a really nice day because there were so many good, nice runners here. But you know, I talked with another trader that I've talked through by email today, and he sent me his chart. And he's just got too many entries. He's trying to enter too often. But the biggest thing is that he's not entering off the key entry points. And remember, I talked about it yesterday. I believe the key entry points are really the entries off the key support and resistance areas. And where is that? That's the trend lines. That's the horizontal support and resistance. And those areas, those are key entry points. And notice again where all the big moves happen. Where's the big move start? Right off the trend line, right off the trend line, right off a midline. Even if you didn't see it, it's there. Uh, Look where the big trend move happened, right off the trend line. Then you got one working down through here. Where does the big move come? Right off the trend line. You got a break of it here, but it's still generated by the trend line. And so just remember that. Look at this nice bounce here. It's off key support area. This bounce here off key support area. I can show you over and over where all the best moves happen, and this is a key entry point. So if you're just patient and wait on those trades, you don't have to get but 2 or 3 really good trades a day, just scalps to make a decent living. But if you start catching a few runners and getting multiple points out of them, you may not need but 1 or 2 trades a day to make a great living. So the key is not to take a lot of trades. The key is to wait on the best setups. And so if you're more patient, you get more trades. I mean, if you're more patient, you'll get the better trades, I should say, not more trades, because you can see how many trades there were today. And there's several of these they're easy to spot at key entry points, and if you just waited on them, but you got to be patient. It's tough. I know it's a mental game. Not only do you got to learn the rules and learn to read the chart, then you got to learn to be patient. And so you got to train your mind as well. And it's not always easy. So, but I'm going to wrap it up for today. I want to try to make that phone call again to my server host from our website and see if we can get this thing going today. But we'll be back again to do it tomorrow. This is Mack with PriceActionTradingSystem.com, and we'll see you next time.